Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:33. First thing to do is review minutes. I'd sent those out about a week ago or so. Let's start with the April meeting, this 22nd of April. How does that look? Any comments or corrections?
The only minor nit I had probably doesn't need to be raised.
Like grammar or spelling?
No, not even. And one other regarding Wi-Fi proposals that was expanding the existing, but I don't think it needs to be corrected unless you guys do.
You say Jay received 3 proposals, Meraki, Aruba, and one other. Is that right?
Correct. And one other was expanding the existing footprint.
Oh,
but
okay.
That's a more specific of the general that we voted not to do, so it doesn't really matter in my mind.
Okay. Any other thoughts or corrections?
No changes from my side.
Okay. So for the April minutes, let me make sure I take notes here. So, April meeting. Okay, so I move that we just accept as is.
Seconded.
Oh, seconded. Let's go around the room. Yash,
Aye.
Angela,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
likewise, yes. Okay, and then next, that's great, thank you. Next is the 20th of May meeting.
I had 2 notes on the May minutes, Matt. The first is on the second bullet, the first number. It says, Angela, we need to update the strategy doc first, need to add actionable objectives. The only note is, I believe that Orla was the one who made the comment about adding
really?
actionable objectives. So I don't know if you want to credit her with that specifically.
Okay. Change attribution of actionable objectives to Orla.
And then I think this might just be a typo, but on the tricentennial celebration tech, number 2, it says evolution of technology display. And then the sentence reads, how did a train station run?
Okay,
No
I don't actually, so I frantically don't take notes. It's almost a stream of thought. And sometimes I read them afterwards, sometimes I don't, so.
It's like Copilot, like auto-authored the notes or something. I was like, how does a train station run?
Yeah, like maybe I probably have to go back to the recording of that meeting. Like, what were we talking about? Maybe it was there about. I mean, I'm guessing, so inferring from this that there is for tricentennial technology. Like, so we want to do something like Southborough's had a train station for a long time, and we want to show through evolution of technology up to the current technology of train stations. Though, granted, current technology of trains is somewhat antiquated still. We don't
At least what comes through town does.
Yeah, exactly. They get to see history just by going to the train station. Okay, so let me make that date. So did a train station run? Did a train station run to example, create a display that shows shows the evolution of train and train station technology, or something like that. Okay, any other comments or thoughts, corrections? Okay, I move that we accept the minutes with the following changes. We update um, the attribution of the comment that we need to update the strategy doc, adding actionable objectives to Orla, and then we fix the notes on clarify that for the Tricentennial Tech, one of the options would be to examples is to show evolution of train and train station technology.
Second.
Okay. Evolution and seconded. Okay, go around room. Yash,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Angela,
Aye.
and likewise I. Thank you so much for reading those. All right, let's go on to next thing. Technology status updates, strategy, IT budget. Unfortunately, Jay is not able to attend this evening. But let me pull up town web property feedback. We had received some feedback via email, I know, and I think I forwarded that on to you, Angela, on the the town website. I hadn't fully parsed it or reviewed what those comments. I vaguely recall it something about general layout, making it should make things more obvious and more front and center. All right, analyze results for.
Oh, here are the suggestions for the Southborough website.
Yeah. Do you want to read those or just summarize what?
Sure. So there was I don't know, should I share my screen or do you want me just to summarize?
Either way.
Let me just try to summarize because we want to show person who sent this. The first comment is under the boards and committees page that the boards and committees page should list active or future committees only. That would help streamline the search for current information. Legacy documents from previous committees, while they're important, could be handled through the Agenda Center. And there are some entities on the board and committee page that are neither, such as moderator and personnel. So it sounds like kind of a cleanup of that, separate what's active from what's not active, and keep non-active documents in their own area. That's the first comment. And then the link to the board and committee member spreadsheet and vacancies page is not active. It's important for residents who wish to contact town leaders. So there was a comment about a broken link. And I believe that Jay was going to look into these and have the other gentleman in the IT department begin to look into this, but I don't know the status of where it stands.
Hassan, yeah.
So that was the first piece. Any comments on that before I go to the next section of the email?
I like those comments. I mean, it's all about accessibility, making things the user journey as clean as possible, and having a lot of information front and present that on end of life boards and committees does make sense. But we should still keep them. Just should nestle them in some sort of archived boards and committees or something like that.
I'm glad we're seeing more than just 4 stars. So yay.
The next part of the feedback is around the agenda center, and it says the page is unnecessarily long to scroll through and should have different sections for dissolved committees. Well, it's essential to have access to legacy documents. They should be moved to a separate section on this page to avoid confusion. I suggest moving the list of 26 dissolved or defunct inactive committees to a new section or tab. And the individual showed a visual. I'll share my screen. Oh, can you give me permission to share my screen, Matt?
Sure. Yep. Let me. Okay.
Okay. All right, so are you able to see that now? So
Yep.
basically, they're suggesting that we group the inactive committees together and then the active committees together, which I think makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's going to be a lot clearer to people if it's divided that way. Maybe even the active committees come first and then the inactive are in a separate section. Please remove the word Southborough from all committees on this page except Southborough, SHOPC and SPAC as it is implied. Most people would search Z for ZBA and not Southborough ZBA. Same with Trails, Stewardship, and others. So essentially, it's, I think, all of these where we've put Southborough at the beginning.
Yeah, the committees are in alphabetical order by their name, and by having Southborough
Yeah,
Cultural Arts Council makes it down in the S's, not the C's. So
that makes
yeah,
sense.
makes complete sense.
Then on the home page, quick links to town maps page is active. However, GIS map link is not. This is one of the most widely used links and necessary for residents to understand what's happening with town projects. Again, a broken link needs to be looked at. Currently, the only way to get to GIS may be through Concom webpage, which most residents would not know. I can follow up with Jay and Hassan and find out if they've fixed those broken links.
That would be great.
The stay connected section is difficult to read. There's a lot of work that goes into keeping residents informed. However, information is still difficult to find. Social media links are taking up a lot of space. I suggest to minimize them to make room for the newsletters and other important content. Can we create a section, latest news and updates, similar to Westborough's site below? And there's a visual here that shows latest news and updates, which is essentially the most recent posted to the top. And so, yeah, I think that's all really great feedback. And again, I think Jay would probably have an update if he was here with us, but I can reach out to him and find out the status of these and speak to him if he has not had an opportunity yet to address these.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Go ahead and hold. T. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and review the responses we got through SurveyMonkey recently. And last response was in April from the senior site, and it's 5-star. So, yeah, great. And yeah, literally no comments, but it's good to review. Right. I think, from my understanding, just to confirm, I've kept it on here. Auto failover to secondary ISP. That's been tested. It's done. We don't need to discuss it anymore, right? Joe, you have a comment?
Yeah, I was going to ask, since we discussed it last time, maybe we just need to, initial test was fine. Do we just need to ensure that there's some sort of business continuity testing, regular schedule to ensure that there's no issues, especially on the provider sites in the future? That would be the only reason I think, 6 month, 1 year, whatever cadence people think is accurate, is reasonable. No idea if Jay already has that on his agenda.
IT testing. Okay, I'll add that to notes. Um, you want to recommend scheduling periodic business continuity testing. Okay, good. Okay, any other comments on ISP failover? Okay, Wi-Fi revamp for town properties. Have we heard any progress on that from Jay? He's not here to make a comment, but if not, we'll wait till next meeting.
Yeah, that last updated email was just in process.
Okay. Okay. Town-related employee training. Um, let me pull up the last meeting notes. Yeah, we keep on discussing this idea that we need a video library of training modules and put together some training. I need to check with Orla about where we are with the library. But I have not made any progress or seen any movement on my side um, on the library. I think we use that as a base case, record some of them, and then start putting together this library. But is anybody aware of any other departments of training?
I started working on that data management piece that was the recommendation of the Youth and Family Services to accompany the OneDrive. So I reached out to Jim Hegarty to ask if there was any kind of town taxonomy in place or any specific codes that they had asked, the different departments to use. And Jim let me know that each department is pretty much kind of, on their own. He said they're all very different and they, tend to organize their data differently. So, it might be interesting to take a look at how we could work with Youth and Family Services to maybe set up a basic structure and basic taxonomy for their group, and then look at whether there are some similarities to other town departments where, we can start to develop more best practices. But I'm not quite finished with the document yet, but it starts with kind of the idea of what is data management, why is it important, what are examples of taxonomies, what's a checklist for how the department should kind of think about managing their data. And maybe if we could give it as a guide to the departments, then we could at least get them thinking about how they could structure this. And then, again, if we can work with Sarah on her group, then maybe we could establish, again, using that as kind of a pilot. But we still, I think, need to look at how could it potentially fit with the OneDrive training that Jay's doing, because that's really the best way to kind of fold it together, is have, Jay go in to do the OneDrive training, and this is like a component of it.
Yeah, I love that, what you're doing there. I fully believe that this is going to help all the departments. And I am guessing that this doc that you're sharing, we'll share it with the department, but we also want to make sure that they understand that we're not just throwing something over the wall for them to read and digest, but like we want to be there, consultative, help them, say, here are the best principles, please read it, and then let's meet with them and start establishing for their department, what they want to do. So yeah, if we can offer, yeah, I see this as being an integral, a foundational component, what you're putting together for the consulting advisory work that we can do with the different town departments. So yeah, thank
Yeah,
you
I
for
need to
working on
set
that.
myself a deadline, like by the time we come back for July, maybe we can put it on the agenda for July to have a draft document that everybody can read and provide feedback on.
That would be wonderful. Any other comments on the topic for training and so forth? And I think you're right about OneDrive, Angela. I think OneDrive training is, I mean, a certain portion of OneDrive training is the function, is the tactical. Here's how you use it. Here's how you interface with it. Here's how you log in, etc. But even more impactful is the, what do you use it for and how do you organize the things, which is, I think, is a result of this. So I like the idea of like getting the data organization in place, because I have a feeling that, like you discovered, there is no consistency, there's no standards. Everybody's, it's sort of a, there's a bunch of silos of data, and it's been sort of the wild, wild west. And I've even heard that departments are pulling data from their local drives or OneDrive and emailing it to another department, who then you drop it to local storage or their OneDrive. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
I
and rolling up the data, I gotta believe that for the select board or for the, town clerk, I mean, if they're trying to get anything that's like a report across the different groups, if the data is somewhat standardized, it's gonna be so much easier for them to try to, get consistent data. I'm not sure how they're doing it now, but I'm sure it's a
email.
little bit of a pain to try to get through everything.
Yeah, from my understanding, all the data is about you. You email a department head, and then they respond to you an email with the results. And that literally these are just separate silos that how used or not used in some cases, of data. So yeah, and I think that it's important to do this before the OneDrive training, because the most impactful thing we can do in OneDrive is to teach about data governance and organization, not the, you kind of fear that if we were to teach people, here's how you use it, it's like uh,
More meaningful.
giving somebody here, go use this complex thing and good luck. Then some potentially poor organization will come out of it, and then they'll get stuck on that poor organization and not want to change. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for your work there and your efforts there. Any other thoughts on the context of OneDrive and training and organization? Anybody? Joe.
It's really in the context of the outreach updates, but
Okay.
I'll say that the Concom is very happy with OneDrive. So I'll just say we have some committees and some commissions that are very happy and adept at using the tools,
Really?
and would be pleased to be engaged further in any sort of adaptation to more new good things.
Are they actively using it today? Is Concon actually actively using OneDrive today? And are there elements of how they've organized things that we should look to
I don't.
document,
Yeah,
incorporate?
I don't have the detail on their taxonomy.
Okay.
But if we wanted to segue into outreach feedback, I'm still. I wanted Melissa to confirm that my notes are accurate before I put them in the format that we've been using. Um, so I won't share the document, but I could extemporize a little bit about our conversation that we had last month and the details that we have there.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump to that.
What are you saying, Joe? You're saying ComCom? Is that
Conservation Commission.
conservation? Okay.
They go by Concom. That's just what they go by.
Okay.
Yeah, the Conservation Commission. They're charged with protection of Southborough's natural resources. Um, they advise municipal officials and boards on conservation issues related to that area of responsibility. Some key services are like wetlands and stormwater permitting, planning and management of open space properties that are managed under their auspice, site review and permitting of open space for other committees and at the direction of the board, and education and outreach regarding wetlands, open space.
I'd never heard the acronym ComCom.
It was new to me. I'm like,
ComCom,
okay.
ComCom.
No, Melissa
My
was just like,
God.
con. I'm like, okay, that's how you want to be called. Um, they are all in on SharePoint and OneDrive. They are constrained in some permitting areas by like state mandates. So, like the wetland forms are state mandated. So, uh, they have enjoyed they actually had positive feedback about the Civic Plus migration. They like the new website. They do not currently feel they need new surveys, but they found the help portion of the new Civic Plus actually to be useful to them. It's a shame Jason's not here because I definitely had some questions for him. As we've mentioned before, they are a significant use case for the CAI GIS platform, but they have a lot of historic data from prior to Melissa's involvement in a system called ET file. And I'm not familiar with that, so I wanted to follow up with Jason on that. But there's no like bulk export to that tool, so they're still kind of figuring out how they can get that data just into OneDrive and be able to leave that behind. They don't really have any budgetary concerns. They do some field work currently on personal devices, but they have talked with Jason about getting like a iPad for field use. So iPad with mobile connectivity. What else would be of interest to the team? They like using the news flashes on the website, so it's interesting that you had the feedback about the news flashes not being as useful as like different towns. But they are Melissa. I say they. So Melissa, who I spoke with, and Laura assists her. Laura also works with ZBA, so there's some that provides. Hopefully, when we get to talk more detail with ZBA, we'll see that they also have a lot of interest and existing expertise in using OneDrive and the current technology offerings. They are very happy to take the chance to try something new, so they're volunteering to be like alpha or beta for anything else that comes down the pike. Melissa talks with Jason pretty much on the regular. Their goal in general has been to make things more accessible to residents. So everything that's been like being able to improve the website, they found positive in that regard. Some details about online permitting that I'm pending her confirmation on. But for the most part, big positive feedback, interested in doing more tech work and routine conversations with Jason and team.
Great.
I have a question, like, because it's not related to this, but around the entire thing, or an observation, we can take it up to the website also. The landing page of our website, there is like a YouTube and a Twitter box there. When the Twitter box is broken, it shows the @17 common that handle actually does populate stuff, but it does not show up on the web page. It's always like there is nothing up here. I realized that last week during the 911 outage, when I went to the Southborough website to actually check if something from the police was posted on our web, on the Southborough handle. While it was on X, like on the real platform, it was not on the website's widget. So
Yeah, I think I talked to Jason about this a while back, and I believe that it was some type of integration issue that I'm not going to remember all the specifics, but there was a technical issue why it wasn't updating. But I do think it would be good to bring it back up to him. I mean, I think we need to talk to Civic Plus and figure out how to get past that blocker, because it sends a negative message if the first thing someone sees is almost basically like an error message right on the home page. So
yeah, it's not an error message. That's a good thing at least. It is that, hey, this town does nothing. So dud of a town does not have any updates. So that kind of which is I hope it's far from reality. But
I think because it used to actually show, so I don't know if it's related to API changes in the
maybe
new X where they're pushing more subscription stuff, but I would think there would be a way around that.
Oh,
that
and
sounds
that
right,
was,
Joe. It was something with the API and yeah, something like that.
because that's
Okay.
quite important. Like, you don't go often for that, but I went for it when the 911 outage, and that was quite.
Okay. Yeah, obviously nothing to see here yet. I also noticed that YouTube channel. This is where, I mean, this, well, I'm going to segue. At some point, I want to segue into the whole meeting room tech and so forth. But any other comments on from that from ComCom or other departments that we've had a chance to do outreach? In fact, maybe what we should do is shift over to Yash. Do you want to talk about um,
Oh boy.
our learning so far on dispatch?
Yeah. So it was a very, I'll say, a packed month last month in terms of our progress there. We did have, like, Matt and I had an opportunity to visit the SEMREC, the Southern Massachusetts RECC, in Foxborough, with the fire chief, and that's where they are trying to put in. I think it's Foxborough, Mansfield, and two other towns. I forget which ones around there, which are the part of that RECC. We did have a look at the facility that is there, and it's quite an impressive facility, no doubt about that. And we were given a good brief about what kind of technology is being used, what kind of softwares are they using for their dispatch, as well as their uh, like ambulance dispatch scenarios, as well as keeping like the record management system (RMS) scenarios. What we did discover is that they are using a different software in the SEMREC, which is something called as Hexagon, It's a new cloud-based software which has come up only for uh, RECCs, and it is still like, I mean, still they are also migrating to that. It's not that they have already done and we can see it like, hey, this is the best case to be seen. It is still under migration. So it takes around what they said, it was around 12 to 15 months, sorry, worth of migration time that they have. And it's stuck right now just because Hexagon is the backlog is too much and to get it everything through. So yes, so the facility was quite strong in terms of that dispatch capability and everything. From there, the number of people that were there for as a dispatchers together. But coming back to our virtual RECC concept, we also took a meeting with to discuss the CAD to CAD services with the Central Square. So Central Square representatives for their Unify software. What we understood is that Unify is a product which will be available if you move to the Central Square Pro suite, which is separate from that of IMC. It's not IMC. So IMC is like, from what they told us also, and we know about it, that around 85-90% of this state is on that, at least at this point. Most of the agencies and most of the towns are using IMC, but people are trying to go towards the cloud scenario. So what we discussed is that the Unify software is more for RECCs in mind, or regional scenario in mind. The Pro was also developed that way. There are good features on it. The interesting thing about the Pro suite is that it is on-prem with servers that are provided by and maintained by Central Square. So that is it's an interesting scenario, hybridish situation. Yeah. And on top of that, at this point, what they're saying is that Pro, they are trying to, there is no one on Pro in Massachusetts as of yet. And Chelsea is a town that is going to the CS Central Square Pro and for their regional dispatch. A town in New Hampshire, Rockingham, they are using the Pro for their regional dispatch. And Nashoba Valley, whose RECC is coming up, they will be moving to the Pro. So we have had our discussions with them, and I think today itself, I think we got an email from their representative about the budgeting of how it would look like, and it has to be discussed with our with the selectmen select board at this point. But Matt, if you want, I can share that email like share my screen for people, so if they want to have a look. Or
Yeah, I don't think we need to go in the email, but just to reiterate and add to what Yash is saying, yeah, that is what was surprising to me is their latest gen offering isn't in the cloud. It's still on-prem. But it's a fully managed solution. So they provide the hardware, 24/7 monitoring, updates, etc. So it costs more because they provide the hardware and manage the hardware as well as the software. And of course, their CAD to CAD solution, as Yash mentioned, which is called Unify, is only available for Pro. And then the other thing, also to reiterate, Yash has already said, is that the SEMREC in Franklin is currently running on IMC, just like Southware is. But they are starting the process to migrate to this Hexagon cloud-based solution. And I guess they found, IMC, really not being significantly updated, and they've sort of found the pain points of joining multiple municipalities into a single large IMC installation. And
yeah,
from what we heard from the person is that IMC really wasn't designed for large multi-municipality uh, uh, use. So, and they did do an intensive evaluation of Central Square versus Hexagon versus some other solutions before they chose Hexagon. So, yeah.
But that puts it into a larger thing that it's not like one person or one software dominating the market right now, because at the same side, when we are getting a news that Nashoba Valley is going to use CS Pro for their regional center. So and then we did the we can forward that email, but our uh, budgeting that they provided us was more or less on the parallels of what Nashoba would look like, because Nashoba also has like the towns which are in the center are more or less sized of what Southborough would be if we join with our immediate neighbors of like Westborough, Northborough, and maybe like Hopkins for that instance. So that's where it is. And I forgot a point. It's not only like the servers are provided; it's a hardware backed by a cloud service. So the failover goes to the cloud. It's not that. So there will be it will be backed there, so you can retrieve it, and if a machine goes down, everything becomes theirs. So their service cost, their subscription includes the service and maintenance of all of that they're providing, including hardware updates as well as any format of damage replacements. So that does not come to us. And more or less, I had asked them about also like are there any specific requirements in terms of housing those servers and all. Then I don't feel there is anything different than what the current IMC solution requirements are. So yeah.
Can you remind me? I know at one time we talked about there was a group that had been asking that the MTC do like a review of the dispatching options and come back with a recommendation. Is the research that you're doing a result of that request? And
Right.
is there like some kind of document that they're expecting to come out from us that, I don't know, shows, here are the different options, here's the pros and cons of each option, here's what the MTC recommends? Is that?
I think it's not going more. It's not. It is on the lines, but so the backstory, the back story here is that this was raised in the town hall meeting, and it was given to us. So that's the correct link to that. And we were asked to evaluate if there is an alternative option of like if you, because we do not want a dark station. If you want to join an REC, want to join a rec, so we looked into a virtual rec kind of scenario where we can connect using technology multiple towns, where everyone can have like a dispatcher on call on, but on their own physical locations at that point, and there can be a supervisor also. And for this, John Butler was appointed by the select board to be a liaison between MTC, between the board, as well as the fire and police chiefs, and kind of operational knowledge on that one. So John has written a proposal for a virtual rec in terms of how it might be, on what kind of a proof of concept or study we can do with some pilot program or something with a town that is ready for that. It would include the technology aspects, are also something that we are doing the research on, as well as it includes what kind of training for dispatch or training program, or if you are in a virtual dispatch scenario, the training is important. People have to train together to response scenarios. All of that has to be brought in, and that there is a document of that, and also on the basis of the same thing, to present it to the select board. Also, we have a set of slide deck that John has with him. I think Al Hamilton from the select board did say that he is trying to pitch the idea of, or present the idea of the virtual rec to the state. So I assume there is going to be another kind of a document that might come up from there. So from our perspective, after we are done with Central Square's analysis of the technology, we would need to do some kind of an exploratory call with Hexagon also, which is the one which we're talking about, SEMREC. And at the end of that, maybe we can put like because these two are kind of looking like major players. There are other ones, but we will also have to draw a line of like how many providers we are going to go for to do like a full study, and that can be maybe a comparative questionnaire that we can put together as a few multi-paged scenario. That's what I expect.
Okay, any questions or comments, Jayesh, on that? Okay. All right. Um, 1 second, let me pull this up. All right. Thanks for being liaison there, Yash, and following up on that. Um, for Sam, cable committee tech, basically town meeting room tech. I'm going to find some time to work with, continue working with Jay on this. But basically, the select board is keen to update our meeting rooms and make things more self-service and more automatic. And for basically boards and committees to enter a meeting room space and have without having necessarily a town employee or South Borough Access Media person there, to be able to facilitate meetings and have it be much more interactive so that there is people who are attending remotely feel like they have, they're not just viewing from afar. So I thought I would share what this might look like. So basically, some of the tech that we're looking into might be interesting for people. So this is, of course, a screen from the public safety. Um, and, you know, it's obviously not a dedicated meeting room, but my hope is we can turn it into a space that can serve more efficiently as for meetings, and that rather than just having this sort of zoomed out view of all the panelists, we can see more individual people. So if you jump over to the same thing, that's, and by the way, the public safety building is, I think, more self-service. And this is our meeting house, and it's currently run by Sam. And what Sam has is they have a variety of these PTZ pan tilt zoom cameras, and they point them either on the full board or on particular individuals, and then they have a controller, like, I mean, literally studio tech that switches between the cameras and between the microphones in real time, depending on who they want to display on the meeting at any given time. And yes, they can, um, you know, zoom in. If here's a shot where they've zoomed in on a couple of individuals, but it's very manual, right? They're literally have one of these studio controllers with a joystick and buttons to switch between cameras, etc. And it requires a physical person to be there physically, and it doesn't necessarily capture all of the participants and their faces, etc. when they make comments. So one of the things that I've started chatting with Jay about is moving towards some hardware and some software that was released about a year ago. Zoom, it's called Zoom Intelligent Director. And Zoom Intelligent Director, it's of course AI, because everything has AI in it nowadays. uh, but it's basically the idea is that instead of having a physical person there to pan tilt zoom, it will automatically determine where faces are and track them, and it chops them up into individual screens. And you can have multiple cameras, and it will pull the feeds and dissect them and compose them um, as desired. And since Zoom released this, a variety of hardware manufacturers have released cameras that are compliant and certified to use with it. The big ones, Polycom, Logitech. etc. So if it's okay with you, I'd love to share with this video because I found it very, very interesting.
Hi, I'm Craig Ishii, B2B Product Marketing with Logitech. Today we're going to talk about Zoom's newest feature called Intelligent Director. It's a feature that builds on Zoom Room's Smart Gallery by using multiple cameras plus AI technology to frame participants in their own space during a Zoom meeting. Now today we're in a room that's outfitted with a rally bar. Plus, on the two corners of the room, you can see behind me, we've got two rally cameras, one positioned on the right-hand side and one positioned on the left-hand side. Now, we've got a whole demo for you today, so we're going to just jump right in. All right, so you can see we're in a Zoom meeting, and this is typically the default view that you get. We've got the entire room, we have all the participants here, but you can see that it's not quite the best perspective for certain people in the room, especially the folks who are here in the back. Now, what we've done is if I click multi-stream, Zoom's come out with Smart Gallery, where we are able to see individuals in their own gallery squares like we have here. But again, it's not perfect because we have individuals who are in the back who are being blocked by other folks. And it's just not quite the best view for the remote participant. So we've gone from speaker view and group view to this multi-stream view. But let's see what happens when I click Intelligent Director. When I click Intelligent Director, we're now going to use the two cameras that will be positioned in the corners of the room here, and we're going to get a multi-stream again, but it's pulling the individuals and it's getting different angles of them so that even those folks like Phoenix, Craig, who are here in the corners of the room, we're getting a view of them. So little bit of a different view. Yeah. And the idea is that because we have these different angles, Zoom is doing this all with artificial intelligence. So it's finding the best view of you, and then it's switching you in and out based on where you're sitting, and then it's giving the right camera view, again, based on where you're sitting. Now, the other part that I want to show is, why don't we have, great Phoenix, why don't you stand up if you move to a different part of the room here. You're going to see that the auto framing is also going to happen as they move around and stand in a different place. The cameras are still finding them. And again, you see that switch that happened with Phoenix. It's finding the right camera view and then it's switching it with artificial intelligence. So that's Zoom's Intelligent Director. It uses multiple different cameras to find the best view. And again, it just increases the equity of meetings, especially for the folks who are sitting in the back. Now, just a couple of notes on the technical requirements that you're going to need for Intelligent Director. First, you're going to need a computer with a recent processor and some power in the GPU, as well as at least 16 gigs of RAM. Now, you can find the recommended specs on the Zoom support site. But in addition to that, you're going to also want 3 identical cameras, or in the very least, at least 2 identical cameras, in addition to your main conference room camera. And so as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, here in this room, we have our Rally bar and 2 additional Rally cameras. Now, Rally bar is great for this purpose because it combines clear audio with great optics of the Rally camera in an all-in-one package. But you can also use 3 Rally cameras with a third-party audio DSP, or a Rally Plus with 2 additional Rally cameras. And so we hope you enjoyed that. The idea here is better equity in these large rooms. We've heard from so many customers that rooms like this can be particularly challenging. And so with the right investment in equipment and computing power, Zoom Intelligent Director is just another option that we have to increase the meeting equity for those who are in the space, for those who are viewing it remotely. And so that's Intelligent Director. We'll see you next time.
So yeah, any thoughts on that?
Impressive.
Yeah, I love the fact that the 2 people switched places. It still attract them and it still kept them in the same meeting location. Yeah.
How many rooms are we thinking about equipping with that?
At least 2. One is the main conference room at the townhouse, and then also the public safety, possibly redoing the public safety with this. And then I think let me ask that question to Mr. Sivers, who's here. And see what he says. Sam, let me ask the question about what rooms you're thinking about.
Senior Center is another place that a number of meetings occur, and so that would be a good candidate, as a matter of fact. And then the other question that I've had is that Southborough Access Media also videos the school committee meetings, which occur in the Trottier Library. And so that requires a little more political maneuvering to coordinate with the school committee people to get that hooked up, but I think ultimately it would be great to have it available there as well. But to me, at least, the key initial step is to do one room, and my vote would be for the townhouse hearing room, because we've recently invested in the public safety building, and maybe in a way that we probably shouldn't have if we thought more carefully about a better system. But that works better now than the townhouse hearing room. It's effectively automatic. Most people can actually use the public safety building room now without South Borough Access Media staff. And so one of our goals is to be more independent of South Borough Access Media, and be able to run our townhouse meetings without relying on their people. Sometimes they have staffing shortages, and so it's a challenge for them to get the people in there to run those meetings. So if we could do one, I'd vote for the townhouse with some of this technology. That's pretty impressive demo. I like that in terms of being able to track people. So people can't hide in the back of the room and be invisible.
Yeah. Any other questions about that or comments on that?
Looks like somebody's got their hand raised.
Manu, do you want to drop a question or comment in chat? Okay, we'll watch for any question or comment in chat. Yeah, as Sam mentioned, the goal is to make these things be automatic so it can be not only hosted, but also allow for sort of the immersive view that almost like what Software Access Media is doing today in panning between and selecting between. But yeah. All right. Let me come back to the minutes. I think that is everything I have on the agenda. Did I miss anything?
I did want to add that Orla and I did meet and talk through the strategy document. And the one that she had access to, I believe, was our summary document that we had given out to the select board and other groups. So I gave her a copy of the detailed, full strategy document, the multi-page version. And she's going to read through that and come back with suggestions. And as part of, I think, her and I meeting and discussing how to add maybe some actionable objectives to that, I just noticed that it has really been a year, almost a year to date since we updated it last time. I think the last update we did, the last major update we did was in June of 2023. So it is probably time to refresh it again for this year. So if I could just ask everybody to take a look at it again and come back with any comments that you have. We'll collect comments, for the next few weeks. And then towards the end of the summer, early September, we can do another version that we refresh and then redistribute. So I'll send that out after the meeting and just ask again that people in the next couple of weeks read through that again and provide me with any feedback that they have.
Okay, that's a great call for action for us to update, especially given our everything we've done in the past year, the outreach, what we've learned from different departments, learn about technology. Yash, I don't think there's anything we can think about for related public safety tech. Like, should we be setting something in the strategy document about public safety tech, or youth and family services, or what else? Yeah. Okay, thank you for that update, Angela. Any other items that I may have missed on the agenda for this evening? If not, let's take a look at our calendars and set a meeting for July. I know probably starting, as we've already seen with Orla, we're starting to get encroach on the summer travel season. But hopefully we can find something that works for people.
I am gone, Matt, the 19th through the 25th.
Okay. What does the 29th or 30th look like for people, Monday or Tuesday? Last Monday and Tuesday in July.
Both work.
Looks good for me.
Same, but the Monday would be preferable if that works for folks.
Yep, works.
Okay, let me add to my notes. Find the right window again. Monday 29th. And it's 6:30, okay?
Yes.
Okay. With Tuesday 30th as second. Okay, I'll check with Orla and Jay on their availability. And we'll target Monday the 29th, but if for some reason they aren't available, Tuesday would work. We'll shift to Tuesday if that's okay. All right. Let's go ahead. I move that we adjourn.
Second.
And Yash seconded. Making notes here. All right, let's go around the room. Yash,
Aye.
Angela,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
likewise, aye. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of June and great beginning of July.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye, guys.
Right.